Mm, Alrighty. Hi, John. Welcome to the Tucson Blockchain channel. Uh,
Thanks.
wanted to have you on because I think you're doing some pretty cool stuff here in Tucson. I saw an article on you when I was just kind of trolling the internet, looking for people educating others on uh, financial literacy in Tucson, and I saw that an article about you. Yeah, what's your background?
And so, just kind of this whole story it's very interesting. So my background, I got my bachelor's degree in aviation business. I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University up in Prescott, and then I got my degree in aviation business. So that's my background for as far as schooling goes.
How did you get into being an educator here in Tucson?
Well, that's the funny story. So I mean, kind of goes back to after college. I'm born and raised in Tucson. I've been here pretty much all my life. And after college, I decided to move up to Oregon, Salem, to be with my girlfriend at the time. We were together. We've been together. We're married now, so we've been together for 10+ years now. So I followed her up with her, and anyways, we were up in Salem for a couple years. I couldn't find a job, so I was kind of working as selling cell phones actually. And then there was an opportunity for us to move back here in Tucson, so I did that. I was still selling cell phones at the time because I couldn't find, the right job for me. And anyways, and so it kind of was doing that kind of job, and then I got a desk job, and I just didn't like it. And one of my friends who I've known since kindergarten, she was working at Pfister Middle School, and she said we have, we have a PE job opened up. And I said, well, I don't have my teaching degree. She said, well, you could, work your way towards a teaching degree. And I said, okay. So I applied to it. I ended up getting the job as a long-term sub. So all you need for that is to have a bachelor's degree. And so I was teaching PE for 3 years. I was emergency certified by the state. And after those 3 years, I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to go back to school technically to be an educator because I wouldn't have gotten my master's out of it. So I was just kind of like, well, I guess that'll kind of be it for me. My wife works at Raytheon, so I was thinking maybe trying to get a job there. But I really enjoyed what I did, teaching kids PE and whatnot. So, anyways, I sat down with my principal, and thanks to her, she kind of extended my education or my educating career. She sat down with me, and we had a talk, and she asked me what my background was, and I told her, it was in business, and she called a few people from HR, and turns out that I was able to get subject matter expert certified through the state as an educator. And she actually made this class specifically for me. And so now I'm teacher certified in business. I am allowed to teach business classes, and that's kind of how it really came to be, honestly. So I did not take the traditional route as teachers usually do. I took a way different route, and I'm glad I did because absolutely love what I do. I love teaching kids, and um, and I'm actually also able to teach PE on the part-time side. So I teach 3 courses of the business class and then 2 courses of PE. So
Sure, that's awesome.
yeah.
So what age group are you teaching?
For my business classes, I am teaching well, primarily 7th and 8th graders right now. 7th and 8th graders. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Uh, so why do you feel it's important to teach kids about business and finance?
Because it's very important. You know, um, getting older and understanding that you're not going to be young for the rest of your life, and you understand that you need to support yourself, especially after high school. I think it's important for students to know what money means. I mean, you can't just spend it and be okay with it. Um, I'm sure you've heard of Dave Ramsey.
Mhm.
I kind of followed his plan with me and my wife, and that kind of instilled a lot of the, don't go in debt, budget, And I think learning it at an early age rather than learning it as you get older, I think it's very important. I was in a bunch of debt myself with college, credit cards and all that other stuff. And I think it's, that put a lot of weight on my shoulders as far as stress and all, all the unknowns. And I think if kids know at an early age, how to handle money and finances, I think it's big because, when they get in that situation of, hey, what should I do with my money? Should I spend it on a pair of shoes or should I save it? I think it's important to learn at an early age rather than later when you're, mounds of debt and you're really stressed out about how to make ends meet. And again, so I think it's important to learn at an early age.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely really important. It was something that I didn't learn until later on in life. And I also was kind of inspired by Dave Ramsey. He was one of my first introductions. Um, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to learn so young, though, because there's so many people that uh, are getting hit hard later in life, unable to retire, that I work with. Uh, so Tucson's kind of a special and unique community. What are some of the unique issues facing our community, and how does the work you're doing help with that?
I'll speak as far as my demographic goes. As far as Pister goes, it's really low poverty level. A lot of students get free or reduced lunch, and I think it's a big thing to the circumstances. There is that they live with only one parent, and they're struggling to get by. Um, they're probably not even living with parents. They're living with their grandmas or aunts, and the uncertainty of of when the money's coming in, how they're going to pay the rent, how they're going to pay for food. I think that's literally a big thing for my students that I teach is, those circumstances are definitely difficult for them. And I think, again, teaching them at a young, early age, not only finances, but hard work, being a good person. That's kind of what my class goes over as well. So, being a hard worker, being a good person, being a good person overall, that gets you places. And that hopefully helps out their circumstances and, hopefully better their lives because, we all want, all the nice things and stuff like that, but it's not always going to come, where it's not, you take it for granted for the things you have, but, you got to work for things. And, yeah, so, I mean, there's definitely some unique situations out there, and those are some of them. And, you got to, work hard and be smart and yeah, I mean, and know how to deal with finances because it's going to definitely get you in the future. So,
Sure. Yeah, it's a big reason why I started this YouTube channel and this company is to teach people about money, because I see it also as a very unique issue in our communities, the poverty, and it's really cyclical for kids that grow up in unstable households. They're a lot just I know from personal experience and growing up in kind of a rough household, that it impacts the way that we make decisions. Kids that grow up in
right.
stable households are able to make uh, a lot better decisions. But when you're going to school worried about food or with unstable housing or unsure, what's going on with your family, it's a whole different story. And so when you start growing up and dealing with money, much of the growing up having been raising yourself, you're starting, starting way behind. So yeah, reinforcing the way that knowing the way that money works is huge, I think, and I think it's a big way that we can really help and better our community because vibrant economy, meaning that people are doing well financially, means that there's more stability for the
Right.
future generations. So how do you think educators across the board are addressing these issues, and what are the challenges for educators right now?
I mean, challenges for educators right now is just trying to, get to the students. Um, for me, like, I'm really big on relationships, and I want to get to know my students so they can feel comfortable and get to know me, and I get to know them. And then when you open that relationship, they trust you, they're willing to learn, you know. But I think some of the challenges is teachers are kind of skipping that part. And like when you teach a kid, you know, how to do this and this and this, they're gonna be like, why? You don't know me. You don't know, you know, what am I about? Um, you know, they don't trust you. So it's like you want them to trust you first and get to know them, and then they'll feel like, okay, this guy gets me. All right, I'm ready. I'm wanting to learn. You trust them. You know, why am I going to do this when you don't do this? So I think the biggest issue for me or for teachers is not having that relationship built and having that trust there, because again, you're not going to, you know, students not going to want to learn if, you know, they don't like you. You know, they're going to push back, you know, and that's human nature. You know, if you don't know someone, you push back. You don't want to, you know, do any of whatever, you know, the teacher asks you to do. So I think that's the biggest issue with teachers right now, especially, you know, with what's going on, you know, online teaching. It's even harder, you know, to build that relationship, you know, online through a computer screen. But you know, you take the time and to get to know each and every single student, and you know, and I think that's where you succeed as an educator, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, so from a community standpoint, what are some ways you think that individuals outside of the school system can really step in to address wealth inequality in Tucson?
I mean, so just word of mouth, you know. I know from my dealing with my class last year, we had a lot of open houses at school, and so you know, parents would come and see the teachers and stuff, and so I had a lot of parents come and visit me. Unlike my past previous years, they wanted to know what the class was about. Number one, number two, they wanted to know. And give me some feedback on how I can't even tell you, I can't even count how many parents came up to me and said, this is an awesome class. I'm glad my kid's in this class. I wish I would have taken this class when I was younger. And so I think it's big by speaking out and, you know, having conversations with other parents and students to get the word out, you know, to, you know, I mean, this article, for example, this article was big. I got a lot of people, random strangers would email me and say, hey, you're doing a good thing. You're doing a good thing. I had people even from Kansas, 2 teachers from Kansas email me and say, hey, what are you doing? You know, can you help me out? I had a federal judge from Phoenix telling me I got, you know, that I'm doing real well, and if they could help me in any way possible. I had a nonprofit reach out to me regarding the article. It's just, you know, that definitely helps out. I'm, you know, when I got asked about this, I didn't know how I even got started. But someone reached out to the local newspaper, and they emailed me and said, hey, do you want to do an article? I said, sure. And it caught me off guard. And then once I found out, my dad, he texted me a picture and of the newspaper, and it was cover page. I'm like, I didn't know this. It was, you know, it was pretty spectacular with how it all happened, and just getting the word out. And I think it definitely will make people's lives change. You know, I've had students come tell me, you know, thanks. They've even opened up savings accounts with their parents to save money. I've had, you know, these parents come to me and email me, thank you. You know, you've started, you know, a little seed in their brain of what they want to do. I had a parent come and tell me that because of that class, their child was the one to decide where they wanted to go to high school. And so it was, you know, it's been awesome. But again, just you know, talking about it with parents, the community is big, especially where I'm at. And you know, hopefully, you know, I'll be there. Hopefully, at Pisser for a little while, so I can make a huge, more of an impact as much as I can. Because again, I think it's pretty important.
Sure.
So, yeah.
What are some good, so if there's any like middle schoolers or high schoolers watching this, what are some good resources for them to learn about the stuff you're teaching?
So one of, we already touched about this, but if you don't Google Dave Ramsey, and they have certain books for adults, certain books for high schoolers, and even young kids. I think that's one resource. Um, I would look at statistics online as far as debt goes, and try to, how much an average person in the United States is in debt. Um, they need to also look at, as far as what they want to do for their careers, research, how much, colleges, is going for these days, and maybe even consider, community colleges, so you can pay it off and pay for it in cash. But I think one of the biggest resources, Dave Ramsey. I do have curriculum from his company that I teach the kids. So it's pretty good stuff. So I think those are some of the resources that they could look up and just look around. And the one thing, you could look around their own lives and see how their family handles money, and ask them how they do it and how they feel about it. And you know I think that's one big thing, is kind of from your learning from your personal life as well. So
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting conversation for my family, since my siblings have grown up talking and discussing money and investing,
yeah.
saving. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's see. So pandemic's pretty tough on everybody. What is something that is helping you move forward and have hope for the future?
Just knowing I'll be able to see my students soon. That's kind of getting me through. I mean, working from home is not the best kind of way to teach kids and whatnot, but I mean, at least I get to see them, through video and interact with them that way. I know it was, difficult during the summer. I miss my kids, especially some of my students who I've had since sixth grade, and they're in high school now, so that was kind of tough. But just trying to stay positive. That's one big thing for me, is having a really positive mindset overall. And this is a tough time, just like any other tough times in the past. This will all be over soon. This is not going to last forever, but just trying to be positive and knowing that I'll be able to hopefully teach in school again and interact with my students and yeah. So I mean, that's just trying to get through it. And it's also nice too, because my wife's working from home, so I have someone to talk to other than my dogs. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's nice to have dogs too, though.
No, yeah. I'm a big dog person, so yeah, they're spoiled little dogs.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you making the time. I know you got some classes to get back to.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, thanks for having me. I think when I got your message, I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. So, I mean, like I said, I've got a lot of outreach from many people. I even got a check from a man here in town who wanted me to invest $5 in each student into a savings account, so I could, build interest and hopefully help them in the future. But so yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. It's still kind of, that happened, in February? I think the article came out, and I'm still hearing about it. So I hope to continue this run, doing what I'm doing, and it's been fun. And I think it's, like I said in the beginning, it's super important. Like you said, it's super important uh, about how kids should handle money and finances, and hopefully make their lives a little bit better and not as stressful as I was when I was in college and broke. So,
yeah.
well,
Yeah,
thanks.
Pima's the way to go.
Yep. Mm.
Yeah.